Sophia Morgan wiped the sweat from her brow as she balanced 3 plates of appetizers on her arm. The elegant ballroom of the Grand Wellington Hotel buzzed with excitement as the wedding reception preparations were in full swing. In her black and white server's uniform, she blended into the background. Just another faceless worker making sure the wealthy enjoyed their special occasions. "Sophia, Table 6 needs champagne flutes now," barked Marcel, the catering manager, his face flushed with the stress of coordinating the Stevens-Hamilton wedding, reportedly costing over $500,000. "It's Sophia," she corrected softly, but he'd already moved on to terrorize another server. At 27, Sophia hadn't imagined her life would turn out this way. Working 2 jobs, barely making rent on her tiny apartment, and stretching every dollar to provide for her 6-year-old daughter, Lily. But despite the struggles, Lily was worth every sacrifice. Her bright blue eyes and infectious laugh made even the hardest days bearable. Before we continue, comment from where you are enjoying the story. Today had started as a disaster. Her regular babysitter had called in sick, the backup couldn't make it, and Sophia couldn't afford to miss this shift. The tips from high-end weddings sometimes meant the difference between making rent or not. "Stay close to me, okay?" Sophia had instructed Lily as they arrived at the hotel's service entrance. "You can color in the staff room, and if you get hungry, I packed your favorite sandwich." "I'll be super good, Mommy," Lily had promised, clutching her worn stuffed elephant that went everywhere with her. The wedding ceremony had gone smoothly. James Hamilton, CEO of Hamilton Innovations, had married Victoria Stevens, daughter of real estate mogul Thomas Stevens. According to the staff gossip, it was the society wedding of the year. Sophia had glimpsed the couple only briefly during setup. The groom, handsome in a tailored tuxedo. The bride, stunning in a designer gown that probably cost more than Sophia made in a year. Now, as guests filed into the reception hall, Sophia moved efficiently between tables, placing delicate name cards and arranging floral centerpieces. Occasionally, she peeked into the staff room where Lily was coloring quietly, giving her daughter a reassuring smile. "Morgan, we need all hands for the champagne toast," Marcel called out. "The couple is arriving in 5 minutes." Sophia hurried to the kitchen, mentally calculating how long the toast would take. She could slip away afterward to check on Lily again. As she loaded her tray with champagne flutes, her mind wandered to her own brief romance years ago with a promising young entrepreneur. They'd met at a coffee shop where she'd been working. He was charming, ambitious, and for a few magical months she'd believed in the possibility of happily ever after. Then he disappeared from her life just as she discovered she was pregnant. Her calls went unanswered, her messages unreturned. She'd eventually stopped trying, assuming he'd moved on to someone more suitable for his rising status. Sophia had faced motherhood alone, determined to give Lily all the love she deserved, even if she couldn't give her luxury. The wedding party entered the ballroom to enthusiastic applause, interrupting Sophia's memories. She straightened her posture and positioned herself near the entrance with her tray of champagne. The bridesmaids swept in first, followed by groomsmen, then finally the newlyweds. Sophia froze. The groom, James Hamilton, was the man from her past. Older now, more polished, but unmistakably the father of her child. Her hands trembled, nearly upsetting the carefully arranged glasses. How had she not realized? She'd heard the name Hamilton, of course, but never connected it to James. She hadn't followed business news or social pages. Her world had narrowed to work and motherhood. Victoria clung to his arm, her perfect smile fixed in place as they moved through the crowd. She looked exactly like her photos in the society pages. Blonde, elegant, and calculated. James smiled too, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Sophia kept her head down as they passed, praying he wouldn't recognize her. She needed this job. She couldn't afford a scene. Not now, not here. For an hour, she managed to avoid serving their table directly, trading assignments with other staff. Her heart raced every time she glimpsed him across the room. Should she tell him? Did she owe him that? Or would it only complicate lives that had moved in separate directions years ago? The decision was taken from her hands when she heard a commotion near the staff entrance. Looking up, she saw Lily slipping into the ballroom. eyes wide with wonder at the twinkling lights and beautiful decorations. "Lily!" Sophia gasped, abandoning her tray on a service table and rushing toward her daughter. But she was too late. Lily's gaze had locked onto something, or someone, across the room. Before Sophia could reach her, the little girl was running, her blue dress fluttering behind her, straight toward the head table. "Daddy!" Lily cried out, her voice carrying across the suddenly quiet ballroom. "Daddy!" Time seemed to stop as Sophia watched her daughter throw herself into James Hamilton's lap, tiny arms wrapping around his neck. The champagne glass in his hand tipped, spilling onto the pristine white tablecloth. Victoria's perfect smile vanished. James's face registered pure shock as he stared down at the little girl with his eyes, his exact smile. And in that moment, as hundreds of wealthy guests turned to stare, Sophia felt her carefully constructed world begin to crumble. "I'm sorry," Sophia stammered, rushing forward. "Lily, sweetie, come here." But Lily only tightened her grip around James's neck. "I knew you'd come back someday," she whispered loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Just like in my dreams." Victoria's face hardened, her knuckles white around her champagne flute. "James," she hissed, "what is this?" James stared at Lily, then at Sophia. Recognition dawned in his eyes. "Sophia?" The murmurs around the room grew louder. Marcel appeared at Sophia's side, his face a mask of fury. "Miss Morgan, this is completely unacceptable. You're fired. Take your child and leave immediately." Sophia felt tears threatening but forced them back. She wouldn't cry, not here, not in front of these people. "Lily, we need to go." "Sir," a security guard approached James. "Should I escort them out?" James seemed to snap out of his shock. "No," he said firmly. "No, that won't be necessary." He gently set Lily down but kept hold of her small hand. "We need to talk," he said to Sophia, then turned to the bewildered crowd. "If you'll excuse us for a moment." "James!" Victoria's voice was shrill. "You can't seriously be leaving in the middle of our reception for this." James hesitated, torn between obligation and the little girl looking up at him with his own eyes. "5 minutes, Victoria. I need 5 minutes." Victoria's perfect composure cracked. "5 minutes? You're... My daughter," James said quietly, the words seeming to surprise even him. "I think she's my daughter." The room erupted in hushed exclamations and not-so-subtle phone cameras capturing the moment. Victoria sat frozen, fury and humiliation battling on her face. James led Sophia and Lily to a small anteroom off the main ballroom. As soon as the door closed behind them, the professional mask he'd worn crumbled. "You have a lot of explaining to do," he said, his voice shaking. "Me?" Sophia's protective instincts flared. "You disappeared without a word 6 years ago. My calls, my messages, nothing but silence." "What calls? What messages?" James shook his head in confusion. "You're the one who vanished. I came to the coffee shop for weeks looking for you." "That's not possible," Sophia insisted. "I called you at least 20 times when I found out I was pregnant." James paled. "Pregnant? You tried to tell me you were pregnant with my child." Lily looked between them, her small brow furrowed. "Mommy, is Daddy mad at us?" Sophia knelt down to Lily's level. "No, sweetheart. We're just surprised to see each other after so long. How did you know he was your daddy?" Lily's face lit up. "I saw his picture, the one in your special box, and you told me my daddy was handsome and smart and had eyes just like mine." James ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "This doesn't make sense. I never got any calls from you, Sophia. None. And I'm supposed to believe you just happened to stop coming by the coffee shop right when I needed you most." Her voice caught. "I was 21, terrified, and completely alone." James sank into a chair, staring at Lily with wonder and confusion. "She looks exactly like my mother," he whispered. "Those eyes." "My eyes are blue like the sky," Lily said proudly. "Mommy says they're special." A knock at the door interrupted them. Victoria entered without waiting for a response, her wedding dress rustling angrily around her. "This has gone on long enough, James," she said coldly. "Our guests are waiting. This situation can be handled after our honeymoon." James looked at his bride with new eyes. "Victoria, I need to understand what's happening here." "What's happening," Victoria snapped, "is that your past is attempting to ruin our wedding day. Rather successfully, I might add." "She's my daughter," James said, the certainty in his voice growing stronger. Victoria's laugh was brittle. "And you know this how? Because she calls you Daddy? Because this woman says so?" She turned to Sophia with contempt. "How convenient that you found him on his wedding day. I'm sure the timing has nothing to do with his recent feature in Fortune magazine detailing his company's billion-dollar valuation." Sophia straightened her shoulders. "I had no idea he was getting married today. I work for the catering company. It was pure coincidence." "A very profitable coincidence," Victoria sneered. "I don't want his money," Sophia said firmly. "We've managed just fine for 6 years without it." James stood, his expression hardening as he looked at Victoria. "You know, something doesn't add up. Sophia says she called me repeatedly after we lost touch. I never received a single call." Victoria's composure faltered slightly. "Ancient history hardly matters now." "It matters to me," James insisted. "Sophia, what number did you call?" Sophia recited the number from memory. She'd dialed it so many times in those desperate early days. James frowned. "That was my number, but I never—" He stopped abruptly, turning to Victoria. "That was when you were handling my calls, when we were just friends, and you offered to screen my messages because of the startup's growth." Victoria's face paled slightly. "Don't be ridiculous. You knew about Sophia back then. I told you about her. James, you can't possibly think I would— Did you intercept her calls?" His voice was dangerously quiet. Victoria glanced at her diamond-encrusted watch. "We have 300 guests waiting. This is neither the time nor the place." "Answer me," James demanded. Victoria's perfect facade finally cracked. "You were just starting to make something of yourself. She was a nobody, a coffee shop girl with nothing to offer. I was protecting you." The silence that followed was deafening. "Protecting me?" James repeated incredulously. "By hiding the fact that I had a child? By letting my daughter grow up without a father?" "She would have held you back," Victoria hissed. "Look at how successful you've become without distractions. We make the perfect power couple. I've spent years positioning us in the right social circles, making the right connections." Sophia felt sick. For years, she'd alternated between believing James had callously abandoned them and telling herself he'd never even known about Lily. Now, the truth was even more painful. A deliberate sabotage by a woman who'd seen her as nothing but an inconvenience. "Mommy," Lily tugged at Sophia's hand. "Why is the pretty lady so angry?" Sophia pulled Lily close, protective as always. "It's grown-up stuff, sweetie." James stared at Victoria as if seeing her for the first time. "All those years," he said quietly, "all those messages you claimed never came through." "I made a judgment call," Victoria said defensively, "and look where it got you. Would you really have preferred struggling with a child when you were barely making ends meet yourself?" "That wasn't your decision to make," James said, his voice shaking with anger. "That was my life. My child." He turned to Sophia, his eyes filled with regret. "I had no idea. I swear to you, I never knew." Victoria smoothed her wedding dress, composure returning like armor. "This is all very dramatic, but there are practical considerations. We have guests waiting, a honeymoon booked. Life doesn't stop for unexpected complications." James looked at her with growing clarity. "This isn't a complication. This is my daughter." "How can you be sure?" Victoria challenged. "Have you taken a DNA test? She could be anyone's child." Sophia flinched as if struck. "How dare you?" "Lily is his daughter. I haven't been with anyone else." "Very convincing," Victoria said coldly. But surely you understand why James might require proof before upending his life for a child who shows up at his wedding." James's expression hardened. "Stop talking about her like she's not standing right here." He knelt down to Lily's level. "Hi there, my name is James." Lily smiled shyly. "I know, you're my daddy. Mommy has your picture in her special box with my baby bracelet and the card from the flowers you gave her." James glanced up at Sophia, who blushed slightly. "You kept those?" "I wanted Lily to have something of you," she admitted quietly. Victoria made a derisive noise. "This is absurd. James, we need to return to our reception." James stood, decision crystallizing. "No." "What do you mean, no?" Victoria demanded. "I mean, I'm not continuing with this wedding." His voice was steady, certain. Victoria's eyes widened in shock. "You cannot be serious. You can't throw away everything we've built over some paternity claim that appeared out of nowhere." "It's not just about Lily," James said quietly. "It's about you. What you did. You made choices that affected 3 lives profoundly. You lied to me for years." "I made one decision," Victoria hissed. "One decision that benefited us both. Look at what we've accomplished together. We're the couple everyone envies." "I don't even know who you are right now." James shook his head. "The woman I thought I was marrying wouldn't hide a child from her father." Victoria's composure cracked again. "What about our guests? My father's business associates? The press? This will be a scandal." "I'll go out there and explain we're postponing," James said firmly. "Postponing?" Victoria gave a brittle laugh. "You think this is a temporary setback? If you walk out on me today, there is no coming back." James met her gaze steadily. "I understand." Victoria's face contorted with rage. She turned to Sophia. You planned this. Somehow, you orchestrated this entire scenario." Sophia stood her ground. "I had no idea James would be here today. I was assigned to this event last minute." "A likely story," Victoria sneered. "It's the truth." Sophia looked at James. "I never intended to disrupt your life. If I had known you were getting married today, I would never have brought Lily." James ran a hand through his hair. "I believe you, Sophia." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Fine. You want to play daddy? There are ways to handle this discreetly. We can provide financial support, set up a trust fund. Our lawyers can draft an agreement." "This isn't about money," James said flatly. "Everything is about money," Victoria countered. "Everyone has a price." Sophia lifted her chin. "Not me. Not when it comes to my daughter." Lily fidgeted, growing restless with the tense adult conversation. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Sophia immediately focused on her daughter. "I'm sorry, sweetie. We'll get you something to eat soon." James checked his watch. "There's plenty of food in the reception. No reason it should go to waste." "You can't seriously be suggesting they join the wedding reception," Victoria said incredulously. "The wedding is off, Victoria." James's tone left no room for argument. "I need to sort this out." 3 years of my life," Victoria spat. 3 years planning the perfect merger of our families, our businesses, our futures, and you're throwing it away for… what? Some misplaced guilt? A child who might not even be yours. "She's mine," James said quietly. "I know it. I see my mother in her face. I see myself in her eyes." Victoria gathered her designer gown around her. "You'll regret this. My father won't take kindly to his daughter being humiliated at her own wedding." "I'll bear the financial consequences," James assured her. "The vendors, the deposits, whatever else." Victoria laughed bitterly. "You think this is about money? My father will destroy you in business. The contracts we were about to sign with your company will vanish. The investors I brought to the table? Gone. If your father's business dealings were contingent on our marriage, then they weren't sound investments to begin with," James replied calmly. Victoria's eyes narrowed to slits. "You think you're being noble, but you're being a fool. That woman," she jabbed a finger toward Sophia, "disappeared once. What makes you think she won't take your money and disappear again?" "I never wanted his money," Sophia interjected. "I only ever wanted Lily to know her father." Victoria scoffed. "How touching. Well, enjoy your ready-made family. I hope it's worth everything you're about to lose." She stormed toward the door, then paused. "I'll inform our guests the wedding is canceled. I'm sure they'll be fascinated by the reason why." After she left, silence fell over the room. James sat heavily in a chair, the enormity of the day's events washing over him. "I'm sorry," Sophia said softly. "I never meant to cause such chaos." James looked up at her. "This isn't your fault. If anything, I should be the one apologizing. All these years, I should have looked harder for you." "You didn't know," Sophia reminded him. "Still," he said, his gaze moving to Lily, who was exploring the room with childlike curiosity. 6 years. I've missed so much." "She's only 6. There's still plenty of time," Sophia offered hesitantly. "Does she know about me? What have you told her?" Sophia smiled sadly. "That her daddy is a good man who would have loved her very much if he'd known about her. That he's smart and kind, and that she has his eyes." James's throat tightened with emotion. "Thank you for that. For not making me a villain in her story. I never wanted to poison her against you. I was hurt and angry at first, but I guess part of me always wondered if there was more to the story." James reached out, tentatively taking Sophia's hand. "I would like to know her, if you'll let me. I want to be part of her life." Sophia nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "She deserves that. She's been asking about you more lately." Lily skipped back over to them. "Daddy, are you going to come to our house? I can show you my room. It's small, but Mommy let me paint the walls purple." James smiled, his first genuine smile of the day. "I'd like that very much, Lily." As they prepared to leave the chaos of the abandoned wedding behind, James felt something unexpected amid the wreckage of his planned future: hope. The days following the wedding disaster were a whirlwind. As Victoria had promised, the scandal hit the business pages and social columns with ferocious speed. Tech CEO leaves bride for caterer and secret love child, blared one particularly sensational headline. James's company's stock took an immediate hit, and several of the Stevens family's allied investors pulled out of pending deals. But James found himself strangely unbothered by the professional chaos. For the first time in years, his priorities had shifted dramatically. On a sunny Tuesday morning, 1 week after the non-wedding, James stood nervously outside Sophia and Lily's apartment building. It was in a working-class neighborhood, worlds away from his luxury penthouse downtown. The building was worn but well-maintained, with window boxes of flowers brightening the faded brick facade. He checked the small gift bag in his hand one more time, then took a deep breath and rang the apartment number. "Hello?" Sophia's voice came through the intercom. "It's James," he said, surprised by his own nervousness. The door buzzed open immediately. As he climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, James reflected on the strangeness of life. A week ago, he'd been preparing to marry into one of the city's wealthiest families. Now he was visiting his previously unknown daughter in a walk-up apartment that could fit in his living room. Sophia opened the door before he could knock. She looked different from the catering uniform, more relaxed in jeans and a simple blue sweater, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. "Hi," she said, a hint of awkwardness in her smile. "Come in." The apartment was small but meticulously organized. Colorful children's artwork decorated the refrigerator, and a bookshelf overflowed with well-loved storybooks. It felt more like a home than his expensively decorated penthouse ever had. "Daddy!" Lily barreled into the room and threw herself into his arms with complete trust. James caught her, his heart expanding with an unfamiliar feeling as she squeezed his neck tightly. "Hi there, Lilypad," he said, the nickname emerging naturally. Lily giggled. "That's what Mommy calls me sometimes." James glanced at Sophia, who shrugged with a small smile. "Great minds think alike, I guess." "I brought you something," James told Lily, handing her the gift bag. Lily tore into it eagerly, pulling out a stuffed elephant dressed in a tiny lab coat. "He looks like Dr. Trunks," she exclaimed, holding up her worn elephant for comparison. "Your mom mentioned doctor." "Trunks might need a colleague," James explained. "This is Professor Pachyderm. He specializes in advanced elephant medicine." Lily hugged both elephants to her chest. "They're going to be best friends." Sophia gestured to the small kitchen table. "Coffee? I made some fresh." "That would be great," James said, settling into a chair while Lily introduced her stuffed animals to each other with elaborate backstories. Sophia set a mug in front of him. "It's not fancy, just regular coffee." "It's perfect," James assured her. After a pause, he added, "How have you been?" "Since everything." Sophia sat across from him, cradling her own mug. "Honestly, it's been strange. I lost my catering job, of course, but then I got 3 offers from other companies who read about the incident. Apparently, the publicity has made me an attractive hire." She laughed softly. "People are hoping for gossip about you." "I'm sorry about the job." She waved it off. "Don't be. I accepted one that offers better hours and benefits. It's actually a blessing in disguise." "And the media attention. Has it been difficult?" Sophia sighed. "Some reporters camped outside for a few days. Our neighbor threatened them with her cane until they left. Now they mostly leave us alone." James nodded, relieved. "My PR team is trying to shift the narrative. Make it about family reconciliation rather than wedding drama." "Is it working?" "Partially. The business fallout is significant, though. Victoria's father wasn't bluffing about pulling strings." Sophia looked concerned. "How bad is it?" James shrugged. "We've lost some key contracts. The company will survive, but growth projections are down. Honestly, though, I'm more worried about Lily, about us figuring out how to be whatever we're going to be." "Co-parents," Sophia supplied, "if that's what you want." "It is," James said firmly, "more than anything." Lily, who had been playing nearby, looked up. "Daddy, want to see my room? I have a purple wall and a reading corner and a secret hideout." "I'd love to," James said, grateful for the interruption. Following his daughter down the short hallway, he noticed how small the apartment truly was. Probably less than a quarter of his penthouse's square footage. Lily's room was tiny, but magical. One wall was indeed painted a cheerful purple. A small bed with a colorful quilt sat against another wall, while a beanbag chair and bookshelf created a cozy reading nook. The secret hideout turned out to be a blanket fort in one corner. "This is amazing," James said sincerely, ducking to peer into the fort. "Mommy helped me build it," Lily said proudly. "We read stories in here with flashlights sometimes." James felt a pang, thinking of all the moments he'd missed. "Maybe I could join for story time sometime?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. "You can sit in the middle. Dr. Trunks and Professor Pachyderm can sit on the sides." When they returned to the kitchen, Sophia was preparing lunch, simple sandwiches and fruit. "I hope turkey is okay," she said to James. "It's Lily's favorite." "Perfect," he assured her, watching as she efficiently moved around the small kitchen. Over lunch, James found himself sharing more about his life than he had with anyone in years. He told them about growing up with a single mother who'd worked multiple jobs to support him, about struggling through college on scholarships and part-time work, about the lucky break that led to his tech company's success. "That's why Victoria's betrayal hit so hard," he admitted. "I came from nothing. I know what it's like to wonder where your next meal is coming from. The thought that I had a child out there experiencing that same uncertainty." He trailed off, emotion tightening his throat. Sophia reached across the table, briefly touching his hand. "You didn't know. And we were okay. Not wealthy, but Lily never went hungry." "Still," James said, watching Lily happily munching her sandwich, "I want to make up for lost time. Not just financially, but as a father." "What does that look like to you?" Sophia asked cautiously. James met her gaze directly. "I'd like to establish formal custody arrangements. Child support, of course. Maybe." Regular visits to start? Weekends? I have a spare room I could set up for her. Sophia nodded slowly. We can work something out. But James, this has to be consistent. She's already getting attached. If you're going to be in her life, you need to stay in her life. I'm not going anywhere, James promised. Not ever again. As they continued talking, making tentative plans, James felt something settle within him. The business chaos, the social fallout, Victoria's betrayal. None of it seemed to matter compared to the miracle of his daughter's smile. 3 months passed in a new rhythm. James had transformed the spare room in his penthouse into a magical space for Lily, with a canopy bed, bookshelves filled with stories, and a larger version of her blanket fort. Weekends became their special time together, filled with trips to museums, parks, and sometimes just lazy mornings making pancakes. For Sophia, the adjustment was more complicated. After years of being Lily's sole parent, sharing her daughter brought a mix of relief and loss. The child support James insisted on providing eased their financial struggles, allowing Sophia to finally start taking night classes toward the degree she'd abandoned when she became pregnant. One Tuesday evening, James arrived at their apartment for his regular dinner visit. These midweek connections had become important, helping Lily adjust to the new arrangement. "Daddy's here," Lily called out, racing to the door before Sophia could open it. "Hey, lily pad," James scooped her up, swinging her around as she giggled. Sophia watched from the kitchen, struck by how natural their relationship had become. James caught her eye over Lily's head and smiled warmly. "Something smells amazing," he said, setting Lily down. "Spaghetti and meatballs," Sophia replied. Lily's choice. "And garlic bread," Lily added importantly. "I helped butter it." During dinner, James seemed distracted, checking his phone several times. Sophia raised an eyebrow when Lily went to wash her hands. "Everything okay?" "You seem preoccupied." James hesitated. "Victoria's father made his move. He convinced our largest investor to pull out. The company is in trouble." He sighed. "We might need to downsize significantly or look for a buyer." "I'm sorry," Sophia said sincerely. "I know how much the company means to you." James shrugged, surprising her. 6 months ago, it was everything. Now, he glanced toward the bathroom where Lily was singing while washing her hands. "I'm finding my priorities have shifted." After dinner and Lily's bedtime story, James lingered in the living room. Sophia could sense he had something on his mind. "Penny, for your thoughts?" she asked, curling up on the opposite end of the sofa. "I've been thinking about solutions for the company," James began. "And for us." "Us?" Sophia repeated cautiously. "The 3 of us," James clarified. "This arrangement is working, but it's not ideal. The constant back and forth for Lily, the limited space here, my empty penthouse that only feels like home when she's there." Sophia tensed slightly. "What are you suggesting?" "I've been looking at houses," James said. "Family homes with yards, neighborhoods with good schools, something that would be ours, yours, mine, and Lily's." Sophia stared at him. "You want us to move in together?" "Adjacent might be a better word," James explained quickly. "I found a property with a main house and a guest house. You and Lily could take the main house. I could live in the guest house. We'd be close for Lily, but still have our separate spaces." "I can't afford a house, James, even with the better job." "I'd buy it," he said simply. "Consider it 6 years of back child support." Sophia frowned. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity, Sophia. It's acknowledging my responsibility as Lily's father." His expression grew serious. "These past months, watching you with her, seeing how you've raised her despite every obstacle, you're remarkable. You've done it all on your own, and you've done it brilliantly." Sophia felt her cheeks warm. "I just did what any mother would do." James shook his head. "No. What you did was extraordinary, and now I want to do my part." "By buying us a house, by giving Lily the stability of having both parents nearby," he hesitated, then added softly, "and by giving us a chance to see what might have been if Victoria hadn't interfered." Sophia's heart skipped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I never stopped wondering about you after you disappeared from the coffee shop. There was something special between us, even then." He met her gaze steadily. "And these past months, getting to know you as Lily's mother, seeing your strength, your kindness, your humor, those feelings haven't gone away. They've grown stronger." "James," Sophia began, uncertainty in her voice. "I'm not proposing marriage," he clarified quickly. "I'm proposing possibility, a chance to see where this might go while providing Lily with the family stability she deserves." Sophia was quiet for a long moment. "What about your company?" "I'm negotiating with new investors. It might be smaller, different, but it will survive." He smiled wryly. "Victoria's father underestimated how many people dislike him enough to back me out of spite." That made Sophia laugh despite herself. "And Victoria?" "Last I heard, she's engaged to a European count. She wasted no time." Sophia twisted her fingers together, thinking. "This arrangement you're suggesting? We'd be neighbors, essentially." James nodded. "With a shared yard, shared custody, but separate lives if that's what you prefer. No pressure, no expectations. Just possibility. And if it doesn't work out, if we try and fail, then we'd be co-parents who live near each other, making Lily's life easier." He reached across the sofa, not quite touching her. "I'm not Victoria, Sophia. I don't have ulterior motives. I just want a chance." Sophia looked at him for a long moment, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "Can I think about it?" "Of course," he said. "Take all the time you need." 2 weeks later, Sophia stood with James and Lily in front of a charming 2-story house with a smaller guest cottage visible behind it. A "for sale" sign swung gently in the breeze. "What do you think, Lily Pad?" James asked, watching their daughter's face. Lily surveyed the large oak tree in the front yard, perfect for climbing, the swing hanging from a sturdy branch, the flower beds waiting to be planted. "Is this going to be our house?" she asked, her eyes wide. "If Mommy thinks it's right for us," James said, glancing at Sophia. Sophia took a deep breath, looking from the hopeful face of her daughter to the patient one of James. 3 months ago, her life had been upended by a chance encounter. Now, standing here, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Possibility. "I think," she said slowly, "this is exactly where we're meant to be." James smiled, tentatively reaching for her hand. Sophia hesitated only a moment before taking it, their fingers intertwining as Lily danced ahead of them towards their future home. 1 year later, the oak tree in the front yard was adorned with twinkling lights. Inside the main house, laughter and conversation flowed as friends and family gathered to celebrate Lily's 7th birthday. In the kitchen, Sophia arranged candles on a purple butterfly cake while James mixed lemonade. "Need help?" he asked, his hand brushing her back as he reached for glasses. "I've got it," she replied, smiling up at him. The casual touch no longer felt foreign but comfortably familiar. The guest cottage had remained James's official residence for 6 months before he'd gradually moved into the main house. Their relationship had grown slowly, thoughtfully, both of them careful not to rush for Lily's sake and their own. Victoria had indeed married her count and moved to Europe, the scandal of the abandoned wedding long forgotten in favor of newer gossip. James's company had survived, smaller but stronger, with a new focus on educational technology that felt more meaningful than the social media platforms he'd previously developed. "Mommy, Daddy, is the cake ready?" Lily called from the backyard, where her friends were playing an elaborate game involving the treehouse James had built. "Coming, Lily Pad," they called in unison, exchanging a smile at the unconscious harmony they'd developed. As they carried the cake outside together, surrounded by the life they'd built from unexpected beginnings, both silently acknowledged the same truth. Sometimes the most beautiful families are formed not from perfect plans, but from perfect accidents. For now, that was enough. Don't forget to like this video if you believe in the power of love to break down walls and bridge any divide. Please do comment your feedback and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of family, redemption, and the triumph of love over pride. Remember, it's never too late to change your story.